The digital production buzz at NAB is sponsored by Maxon and by Simply, a global distribution brand.
Right now, the NAB 2019 show has opened and we are ready to give you all the news. We're talking with David Colantuoni from Avid, Victoria Nece with Adobe, John Finegold with Signiant, and Dan Montgomery with Imagine Products. This is The Buzz.
Live from the 2019 NAB Show in Las Vegas. Technology, products, media, news. Connecting media professionals around the globe with the latest in technology. The NAB Show Buzz starts now.
And welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. The 2019 NAB Show opened exactly 1 hour ago, and already the halls are filled with people looking at the latest in technology. My name is Larry Jordan, and I am excited to share the guests that we've got lined up for this week. 27 shows, 108 industry leaders, and announcements in virtually every single instance. It's going to be an exciting time, and I'm hoping you're able to stay with us. Our first guest is David Colantuoni. He's the VP of Product Management for Avid, and Avid has been making a lot of news this weekend with some amazing announcements, and I'm looking forward to hearing more. David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
You guys have been busy. Oh, my goodness.
I'm exhausted.
First, tell me what the VP of Product Management does, so we understand the perspective you're coming from, and then we're going to talk about the news.
Yep. So we sort of start the process on product development. We run the business of all the different entities at Avid. For me, it's Media Composer, audio products, cloud, and so forth. We work with engineering and the architects to make the products.
Okay, so now that you've made the products, let's talk about the announcements. What's the news?
Okay. Wow. We had a lot. I guess we'll focus on Media Composer. So this weekend we have our Connect event, which is where we bring in a lot of our customers and they come in, we have a reveal, and it's quite extensive. It runs over the whole weekend right before NAB. The big announcements for Media Composer, we've been busy, as you said. We relaunched the product essentially with a new user interface, something we've been working on for a little bit of time. We've extended the capabilities to more finishing and delivery type of things around, like with IMF and a 32-bit color pipeline. We've also introduced a new model of Media Composer that allows you to customize the interface, so you can take Media Composer Ultimate and make it however you want to. And there's different sort of roles that happen in organizations that you might want a user to use a particular function, maybe a logger, so you could set up a Media Composer to just do logging functionality. And then we also introduced a render farm, or what we call distributed processing. And that's sort of for the emerging high-res workflows around 8K. We're finding that a lot of people just want to edit. They don't want to spend time rendering, so we can offload it to a render farm. We've been pretty busy, and it really is a relaunch of the product, essentially.
Well, I want to talk about the interface, and I also want to talk about your new partnership with Bebop, where you've moved Avid up to the cloud. Let's talk about the interface first. One of the things I was talking about with Megan before the show started is that Avid has traditionally been, you follow our rules or you don't get the job done. What's been your goal in the new interface redesign?
Yeah, it's quite a daunting experience to go through it, because the product is used on so many productions that are live and active all the time. And it's hard for editors to sort of pull themselves off and relearn new functions. So we had two goals. One, make sure we keep that workflow and editors working, right? But improve the way they work.
Don't screw our deadlines.
That's right. The second one is we have a lot of people who are entering the industry and they want to learn how to use Media Composer, and we have a product called Media Composer First that allows them to do that, but they still needed to have a more modern experience. So that goal was to make it easier to sort of step into Media Composer. So that was our approach. And I think we did a pretty good job of it.
Well, I have not yet seen the new interface. I'm looking forward to taking a look at it later in the show. But the other thing that caught me by surprise is Avid is moving to the cloud. Tell me what this is, because this is a major shift for the company.
Yeah, so we've been talking about the cloud in different instances in various ways for the past couple of years. And we actually have a lot of cloud deployments in the industry right now. It's hard to believe, but we have major installations of major media companies using Avid in the cloud. One of the things we haven't done is extended that past our Microsoft relationship. So essentially people that do services in the cloud like a Bebop or a Quest in the UK. So we've engaged them to have the ability to sell Nexus Cloud and Media Composer working as a service in the cloud.
Well, if I'm an Avid editor, why should I consider local or why should I consider cloud? What makes the determination of where I go?
Yeah, there's various workflows that you're looking to succeed in with the cloud. One is you're working on a production, but you need to spin up capacity. You need more storage. You need more editors to finish a project. This way, you don't have to go deploy a whole infrastructure. You don't have to buy licenses. You don't have to buy more storage. If you want to, you can just point yourself to the cloud. You can click a few buttons, call Bebop or Quest, and they can get you running pretty quickly. So that's probably the biggest use case that we're seeing right now.
So if I'm in a essentially fixed environment where I'm doing same throughput with the same people, running local is probably the easiest. But if I need to scale in a hurry or I've got a short-term project, moving to the cloud would allow me to do that more quickly than bring in additional
Absolutely.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
I had a brilliant question for you, and I totally forgot it. What was anything new on? And I know it's not your responsibility, but did Pro Tools announce anything new?
Nothing new with Pro Tools because we just came off of our NAM releases.
Can you remember what you announced there?
We did. We announced some capabilities around network licensing and more voice packs for more voices for HDX and those sort of capabilities. So yeah, it was a good NAM for us too. So we've been quite busy. Yeah.
You mentioned that you're now supporting 8K. I just want you to know I'm a serious 8K skeptic. I think it's the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time. Not to put a stake in the ground, but why 8K? Beside the fact that people are talking about it, is there really an advantage to 8K?
So we actually have customers asking us for it.
You have some sick customers.
We actually support unlimited raster and Media Composer, but we have presets for 8 and 16K. So we announced that too.
Do you know how big the files are for a 16K image?
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Carry the RAID around with a dolly. All right.
So
8 or 16K.
You'll see the Olympics broadcast in 8K this year.
No, I won't. My set is only a 720p set. What I'm going to look for in 8K makes no difference to me.
I visited Best Buy the week before NAB, and I said, "Where is your 8K TV?" And they were coming in that week. So.
And you didn't buy me one.
I didn't buy you one.
Dave.
I didn't. So, but you'll see. So we have some customers. We have a customer, NHK, who's looking to broadcast and create drama in 8K. And not only do they want 8K, they want 8K 120 frames per second. They want to do multi-stream editing inside of Media Composer. NBC is looking at doing the Olympics in 8K. They'll have an 8K stream of it. So yeah, it's an emerging sort of format, and we support it.
You have to support it if your customers require it, but you have some very, very sad customers. That's all I can say. What's the thing? I mean, you're head of product management, and you see all the features, not just the headline, but the small stuff. What's a small feature that didn't get any publicity that you're excited about?
I think the most, I talked about it earlier, actually. Well, there's a couple of themes, right? One is this, we call it Media Composer Enterprise. And one trend we see is the ability to set a project and have roles do certain things in an organization. And so we basically have made this product that allows you to do that sort of thing. And that way, if you're a logger or you're a journalist editor and you want to use Media Composer, you can do that and create any scenario you want to in an organization.
For people that want more information about the products that Avid offers, where can they go?
Avid.com.
Say it again because it was too quick. I didn't get my notes done.
www.avid.com.
That website is all one word, 4 letters, AVID, avid.com. David Colantuoni is the VP of Product Management for Avid. And David, it is always fun talking to you. Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
Every year at the NAB Show, you'll find more than a few attendees camping out at the Maxon Cinema 4D booth all day. Why? because Maxon hosts presentations by the most respected 3D artists in visual effects, motion graphics, and design. This year, there will be 28 unique presentations from 21 different artists. Even if you're not attending NAB, you can watch all the Cinema 4D presentations streaming live at c4dlive.com. And if you register, you'll be entered into a raffle to win from over $20,000 in prizes. Can't watch live? No worries. All presentations will be made available on demand on the Maxon YouTube channel a few weeks after the show. Maxon Cinema 4D. Stop by Maxon's booth at NAB in South Lower 6324 or tune in to the live stream at c4dlive.com. That's C, the number 4, D, live.com.
And welcome back to the first day of the 2019 NAB Show. We're talking with Victoria Nece. She is the Senior Product Manager for Motion Graphics and Visual Effects. Victoria, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
How would you define what a product manager, a senior product manager of motion graphics and visual effects does?
So the thing that is much shorter is to say I'm the product manager for After Effects, but I also have motion graphics templates. There's a few other things, but that's a little bit shorter and fits on the business card.
Well, yeah, but it's much more impressive to say motion graphics and visual effects. I mean, I saluted when you walked in the booth. That was great. Adobe made all of its announcements earlier last week, and I've had a chance to read through your press materials, and there's some amazing stuff that actually exists outside of After Effects. But let's focus on your love, which is After Effects. What's the news?
So the big thing we've introduced this cycle is content-aware fill for video. And content-aware fill is one of those things that was a huge hit in Photoshop when it first came in CS5. Just be able to finally remove objects from images pretty seamlessly. And it's something people have wanted to do to remove things from video for just as long. But that's actually a much harder task, because not only do you need to remove something, you need to have that consistent from frame to frame. It needs to not have any jitter, any chatter. And so it's been a long time coming, and it's finally here, and we've seen users already doing some amazing stuff with it.
Well, let me just back this up and put it in context. Is this similar to the patch tool in Photoshop, where I need to have a surrounding area that has the same texture and I'm just mapping the area from one to the other? Or is it creating all new media based upon how it interprets the selection?
So it actually looks at your entire video, not just the frame that you're on. And that's the cool thing that we can do, is we have frames where maybe the camera's moved and we can actually see behind the thing you're trying to remove. And we can synthesize that. We can look at the motion in the video and make an estimation as to what's probably in that hole that you're trying to fill. And so we can use all of that information, not just what's in the same frame.
So the frame that has the object is not on a frame-by-frame basis, but it's looking at it through the whole clip.
Yes, exactly. It goes through your entire clip, runs an analysis, and then makes its best guess as to what's going to be in that space. And you can guide it further. You can create reference frames if you want to sell it, no, this is what should go in that space.
Well, I have to play with this. This is just too cool. But
it's a ton of fun.
Surely there's more than one thing you've added to After Effects, because otherwise it's a lonely new feature.
That's a pretty big feature. The other really big thing that's come this cycle is something for our more advanced users, and that's a brand new editor for writing expressions. And expressions are snippets of JavaScript that enable you to make dynamic, responsive animation, have things animate procedurally, tie properties together. It's really, really powerful, and we've now built a full code editor right into the timeline. So we've got things like autocomplete and syntax highlighting and line numbers to make it much easier to see the structure of your code, what you're doing, and also to help guide you in writing code, because most of our users aren't coders.
Well, the coders are jumping up and down, and the artists are scratching their heads saying, what did she just say? Because none of it is English. Translate that into, how would I use this? What's a use case?
So one really good example is one of the simplest expressions you can write is wiggle. And you can take a layer and have it animate automatically instead of hand keyframing frame by frame. I want this to move a little bit here and a little bit there. You can just say wiggle and how much and how often, and it'll do it for you.
So it's a way of bypassing keyframes to achieve movement.
Exactly. It's a great way to write something once, get some automatic motion, have one piece of a composition respond to the motion you've animated somewhere else. It's a really, really powerful tool, and we're making it a little more approachable.
Well, thinking of approachable, one of the challenges that After Effects has is it's recognized around the world as the leading motion graphic arts creation tool. It's used on everything. But new users are terrified by it. It is not the world's simplest application to learn. And that strikes me as a two-edged sword. You want the power, but you also want to have people use it that haven't used it before. How do you enable people to get started with After Effects that don't have the experience?
We've been putting a lot of work into that because it is famously intimidating. And I've been using After Effects most of my life, and so to me it's second nature. But if you come to it brand new, we realized you really need some guidance. And so a few months ago we introduced an in-app Learn panel that actually guides you through from import, creating
panel?
It's an in-app Learn panel to guide you from very beginning, from importing your footage all the way through to adding effects, adding some animation, and exporting. And it makes it a lot easier to get those basics right in the app. So we're trying to smooth at least the front part of the learning curve.
You know, that's helpful because I teach motion graphics to students, and it just takes, I have to spend a lot of time decreasing their fear that, yes, you can master this, because once you master it, it unlocks a huge universe of possibility, but getting started is a huge step up. So congratulations on the panel. I know you work with After Effects, but you're also our first Adobe guest. Can you highlight some of the other features that Adobe has announced? Because we're going to be talking to Patrick Palmer on Wednesday. We're talking to Darren Gleaves this afternoon, who are audio and Premiere. But I can't wait. What are some of the other highlights?
So Premiere has a really great new tool called Freeform View. It's a new way of viewing all of the clips in your project and sort of doing a live storyboard and mapping things out visually. You can make things bigger, you can pile things up and put pieces of shots together where they fit. It's a really nice new feature, especially for anyone who thinks visually. It helps you get your pieces of your project in order. And then on the audition side, we've got Punch and Roll, which especially for it's fun to say, but it's also for someone who's doing any kind of voiceover work. You flub a line, you go back, and you just start recording right over top. It's really nice, it's really seamless.
Of the stuff that's been added to After Effects within the last 6 months, not necessarily for NAB, what's the feature that you like that didn't get any publicity?
Ooh. So one of the things that's in the new release that's a tiny little thing, but I think is going to be super powerful, is Premiere now has rulers and guides. And so we said, let's make them exportable. For After Effects, you can now save presets and share them with Premiere users so everyone can have everything aligned across both applications. It's a small thing, but it's going to do a lot to keep people in line.
That is so cool. I've been frustrated for trying to get stuff to line up forever, and having to match the guides between After Effects and Premiere is tough. What's another one? Do you have another? You got a few more seconds,
okay,
and
sure.
I'm interested in new features.
So my favorite After Effects feature last year is the thing called master properties that enable you to make multiple versions of a composition with different variations. This is tremendously powerful, so much less copying and pasting. You just override the things that you care about, the things you want to change, and it's just like motion graphics templates, but inside After Effects. There's a ton of power there. It's a lot of fun.
If a user has a comment that they would like to see After Effects add a feature, how can they get feedback to Adobe?
So we have a great new site called User Voice, where you can you can submit feature ideas, submit bug reports, and you can vote up other ideas other people have had, and you can find it through the help menu in any of our video apps.
That website is all one word, User Voice, uservoice.com.
We have a slightly longer URL. I would recommend people go to help, and there's a provide feedback link in our help panel.
So go to the Adobe website and click on Help, and then it's the User Voice section within that. And Adobe actually reads these?
Oh yeah, we read all the feedback we get. We have lots of discussions about posts on there.
Cool. Victoria, where can people go to learn more about the products Adobe has available?
I'd say start with adobe.com.
You know, it's amazing when it's all one word and it's only 5 letters long. That's ADOBE for those of you who are brand new to the web, adobe.com. Victoria Nece is the Senior Product Manager for Motion Graphics and Visual Effects at Adobe. And Victoria, I wish you a great NAB and congratulations on all the new features.
Thank
it's
you
a lot
very
of
much.
work, and congratulations to you. The Buzz will be back in just a few seconds. Welcome back. We're talking now with John Finegold. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for Signiant and joins us again for yet another year of bringing us up to date on what Signiant is up to. John, for people that may not know, tell us what Signiant does.
So thanks for having me, Larry. So Signiant has been around for a long time. Our focus is on intelligent file delivery, and what that means in the simplest terms is we make it easy to move large files fast. We do that between people, between systems, and more to and from the cloud.
Now, what does that mean, move files fast? I've got an internet connection. It's measured at so many megabits a second, or in my case, kilobits a second, or something like that. Anyway, it's really slow. How can you speed me up?
So what a lot of people don't necessarily realize is there's some different dimensions on the way things move over the internet. And when you transfer a file using standard internet technology, there's a lot of latency, there's a lot of back and forth, often there's a lot of packet loss, especially over long distance or over congested networks. And so that's what our patented technology eliminates a lot of that. So when you're moving a large file over great distance, we can sometimes move it up to 100 times faster than it would be over your normal connection.
So traditional ways that we transfer files, we send a small chunk of it and we say, did you get the chunk? And it says, yes, I got the chunk, and then we send the next chunk.
Yep.
And what you're doing is?
We're just streamlining that. So when you break it up into a lot of chunks and send it over, especially over a congested network or over a long distance, a lot of those chunks get lost. And so what we're able to do is eliminate a lot of that packet loss and a lot of that back and forth. And so we're sending the whole file in its entirety, but we end up sending a lot less data because you're not dealing with resending these lost packets over and over again.
But if I'm losing packets, how do I know the file is arriving safely?
So with Signiant, it's our part of our core technology to make sure that every file is moved exactly byte for byte, and so we're constantly checking to make sure that every packet is moved and that it's moved as efficiently as possible over the current internet connection.
So you're constantly checking the quality, but you're using it with less conversation, which means that I can get more throughput over the same amount of speed.
That's exactly right. And what a lot of people don't realize about our technology is, as people upgrade their networks, you actually need Signiant's able to provide even more value on a faster connection because we're able to take advantage of all that bandwidth. So the analogy I like to use, it's like upgrading your water pressure but having a bad shower head, right? You kind of need both.
Well, I want to talk about the new features, but before I talk about that, do I need to have Signiant at both ends of the conversation? If I'm sending the file to different people, do they all need to have Signiant?
Yeah, so there's a little piece of software that gets downloaded to your laptop, or if in the case of a system-to-system, it's installed on the servers. But each node on the network has a little piece of Signiant software to make sure that we can send reliably and efficiently over those connections.
Then again, because I am getting new features for pricing, do I price? How do I pay for Signiant?
So it sort of depends. We have different products for different use cases. So we have a product, our system-to-system products are based on just the number of endpoints that you have in your network or the number of locations. And then Media Shuttle, our end-user product, which is the easiest way to send and share large files fast, that's sold based on just active users, so people who send and receive files in that given month.
Cool. If I'm a YouTube person, is there a Signiant advantage to sending files to YouTube?
Not specifically to YouTube, but we do have partnerships with a lot of the different streaming vendors, and they're using Media Shuttle to ingest content. So, but not specifically with YouTube today. Okay,
so let's get to the new features. What's new?
So for NAB 2019, we've introduced a completely new product called Signiant Jet. And
Signiant
Jet, Jet.
Got it.
And so Jet is taking our expertise in system-to-system file transfer and making it accessible and right-sized for small to mid-sized businesses. So most of the world's largest media companies use Signiant to automate workflows across their supply chains. And we've had a product in the market for more than 10 years called Manager and Agents, which is relied upon by the who's who of media. But what we haven't had is the ability to bring that technology down to small and mid-sized businesses, which are now making up really important pieces of the media supply chain. And so Jet enables us to bring that capability to any size business.
Okay, imagine I'm an independent filmmaker and I'm turning stuff out on a regular basis. how would I use Chet? And why would I use Chet?
So one of our first customers is actually a digital cinema distribution company in Malaysia. So this is a great use case. They have 170 cinemas that they're delivering DCPs to all over the country. The internet infrastructure there is not comparable to internet infrastructure here, and so there's a lot of interruptions and challenges with that. And with a DCP, the file not only has to get there quickly, it has to get there reliably. If it's not byte for byte, if anything gets corrupted or lost along the way, the DRM alarms go off and you can't play the movie. And so what they do is they've got Signiant installed in all of their cinemas, and they have a central location. When they drop a DCP onto their server in their base location, it's automatically distributed to any of the cinemas with reliability and speed that Signiant is known for.
Well, what's the difference between Jet and your higher-end package?
So it's just a simplified version that has, it's sort of packaged and priced for smaller businesses. So Manager and Agents, which is our product for the large enterprise, it's a much more sophisticated system that, there's companies that have people who come in every day to work on Signiant and run those systems. It's a very, complex and sophisticated piece of technology, but it's appropriate for those more sophisticated businesses. Jet is a SaaS-based solution. You can be up and running in a day, and it allows for these more simplified workflows, but it brings that technology down to any size business.
Have you announced pricing for Jet?
Yeah, so it's a SaaS subscription. It starts at an annual subscription of $7,500 per year, and that's good for a company that has maybe 2 to 3 locations that they need to synchronize, and then its price based goes up as you have add different locations.
What does Signiant see as the future? What are the challenges that you guys are thinking of meeting? And it's not a product announcement, it's just looking at trends.
Yeah, so there's a couple really big trends. You just had Adobe and Avid on talking about 8K and 4K and VFX files, right? These files are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and workflows are getting more global and more complex, and of course security is top of mind across the industry. And those are all good trends for Signiant, because that's what we do. We allow people to move those files around with ease, with speed, with the reliability, and with enterprise grade security. So that's one trend, and the other I think is really interesting for Signiant is the move towards sort of multi-cloud and hybrid cloud environments. And so as companies start to embrace the cloud, they're not necessarily putting all their eggs in one basket, and what Signiant does is kind of abstracts a lot of that complexity. So if you have some stuff on premise, some stuff in Amazon, some stuff in Google, Signiant makes it easy to interact with all those assets regardless of storage type and regardless of location.
There's a number of companies that specialize in fast file transfer. Why should somebody consider Signiant?
Well, Signiant is the market leader. We invented this stuff. We've been doing it for a long time. But I think the real driver for Signiant growth is our SaaS business. We've been an innovator in cloud-native SaaS, and our SaaS business grew by 46% in 2018. And I think that's testament to the fact that we've been out at the forefront of this trend.
And for people who want more information, where can they go on the web?
They can go to www.signiant.com.
That's all one word, Signiant, Signiant.com. And John Finegold is the Chief Marketing Officer for Signiant. And John, thanks for spending your time with us today.
Thanks for having us, Larry.
Take care.
I want to introduce you to Simply Workspace. Powered by StoreNext 6, this new storage technology is the answer to how smaller post and in-house creatives can work simultaneously on high-resolution content without the hassle of big facility infrastructure. All your content is stored in one place. There's no moving and no copying files. Just plug in your Macs, PCs, or Linux workstations using a Thunderbolt cable and get to work. Simply Workspace is a professional-grade storage network. Starting at $10,995 for a 24-terabyte RAID system supporting 4 simultaneous Mac users. You can grow capacity and users as you need, up to 288 terabytes and 8 simultaneous users. No rack storage, no fiber channel, just the speed and ease you need. It's called Simply Workspace. That's SYMPLY, Simply Workspace. Learn more at gosimply.com. Hi, this is Larry Jordan. Thank you for listening to our coverage of the 2019 NAB Show. Now, I want to invite you to continue listening to the digital production buzz after NAB ends. For almost 20 years, the Buzz has covered the media industry for creative storytellers. We look at new technology, new techniques, and the people who turned them into programs. From production to post to marketing and distribution, we focus every show, every week, on helping you grow your creative business. We webcast a new show live every Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Los Angeles time. Then make it available for download on iTunes, Spotify, Libsyn, and thedigitalproductionbuzz.com. Join the Buzz family and discover what the future of media holds while you still have time to plan for it. I look forward to chatting with you each week.
And welcome back to day one of the 2019 NAB Show. My name's Larry Jordan, and I'm talking with Dan Montgomery. He's the president of Imagine Products. Hello, Dan. Welcome back.
Hi, Larry. Thanks for having me.
We have had many conversations over the years, and yet very few of them face-to-face. It's good to finally see you again.
That's true, isn't it?
So what have you got that's new for? Well, first, tell us what Imagine Products does. Paint the picture, and then we'll talk about the new stuff.
Well, Imagine Products been around. This is my 28th NAB, by the way.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're a young kid.
I'm a young kid. So we've done a lot of things over the years, but we started doing cataloging and things like that, and we kind of moved into file movements and transcoding and playouts and different aspects of those kind of things. So these days, a lot of people know us for Shotput Pro is one of our main products, is an offloader. Pre-roll post is an LTO control. We have a MyLTO software that controls LTO decks. We have a transcoder called Prime Transcoder. We have a lot of different apps. So
what's the most popular?
Shotput Pro by far. We have way over 50,000 users.
Congratulations.
So yeah.
So now that you've got 50,000 users using last year's product, what have you got coming up for this year?
We thought we better give them something a little extra, So we kind of changed in the last year our whole website and how we license products and things like that, and we've moved up to versioning by the year, basically. So it's version 2019. And
Shotput makes the naming convention
makes it
easy.
easier. There's both Mac and Windows versions of it, and it's got a lot of new features. Some of the new things that we're showing in that app at this show is a new partnership with Frame.io and a way to upload time-sensitive information while you're offloading the camera media. So it can, in the background, transcode it and shoot it up to Frame.io and clip by clip while you're doing it. So we can do parallel processing, basically. You're copying that media because you need to make that hard backup locally, but if you have a good connection, you can shoot it up or transcoding it, shoot it up for you.
Very cool. All right. So what else you got that's new?
We are showing our new Imagine Products Cloud, and we've stepped into the cloud with everybody else, and so we're moving toward connecting all of our apps to our cloud. And what that means is that you'll be able to, just like the Frame.io example, be able to shoot up all the information about your offloading camera originals to a database in the cloud that you can then share with other people and have notifications. We have a new phone app that'll connects with the cloud, so as clips are going, you get real-time status of what's going on. If you have a web portal to it, you can watch clip by clip as they're coming up with the proxies and the thumbnails and all the camera metadata, 100 fields of data, and all that stuff is pushing up to the cloud and making it more of a quicker turnaround on things.
You mentioned it's your cloud. Is it your cloud or using one of the cloud services at back end?
Well, the big data guys, what it is it's designed to basically use any of the S3 type, cloud services. So you could have a private cloud, you could have, your local, as long as it's S3 compatible. So in our first...
So for people that are really worried about security, they could have a private cloud that they control,
Sure.
and they'd still be able to use your software to access it.
Yeah, that's actually what we're doing in our booth, because the internet here is kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
So
Somewhat expensive, too.
It's kind of expensive, yeah. So it makes it easier to show. But we've also implemented in that the option to do AI. So you can auto tag your catalogs of all your information as you're offloading it instantaneously, pass it through Google. So our first implementation of this, we have our database housing on Google's services so that we can do the AI stuff fairly easily with their service. But we're actually storing large files in Wasabi, so you can mix and match and intertwine
cool.
things.
Well, you've got more products. I saw your booth. You've got a laundry list that sort of falls off onto the carpet and scrolls down
saw
the
our
hall.
booth? Did you see our big wooden table? Isn't that cool? I want to take that home. We have another new product called. Before we leave Shotput, I want to talk about. We also partnered with Kodak on their new HDE, the high density encoding thing. And the problem with that was if you plug one of those into a regular computer, you can't see the files. They all show up as zero size because it's a virtual file system. And so we had to talk to that directly and be able to move those files over, turn them into ARX files, and of course our transcoding and all that can turn those into ProRes or whatever else you want. And it could also feed Frame.io and feed our cloud and so forth. One of the other new apps that we're showing is called TrueCheck, and that is for Macintosh as first iteration. And what that does is there's problems that a lot of people have with trying to figure out where all their media is and what matches what. They've changed the name of something and they have 3 different copies of it, but it's really all the same stuff, but it's named differently, and those sort of things. So you can identify files and know which ones match. So it's using checksum technology to do that. You can also compare 2 different volumes to see which, what's the same and what's different, and then sync them so you can have them all catch up and be the same. You can do an inventory. So let's say you have a 2 terabyte hard disk and you want to just make a report of all that information without having to copy it. Shotput does that.
I don't want
but
to do that.
You don't want to copy it again. So just let it do an inventory for you and a manifest, if you will, and with, thumbs and all that stuff. We've also stepped into the MHL world, so where you're creating checksums for each file, and so from the very beginning what value that file should have. So downstream, as it goes through the workflow, you can always check it to make sure that it still matches back to the original and it's the folder sealed as it goes through the process. And that's what TrueCheck is really kind of geared for, that whole after you've copied it with Shotput, now what happens and downstream
and keep it
things,
safe.
right? Keep it safe and things you can do. And you have, how many hard disks you got laying around, Larry? You got a few.
I have 17, and they're all RAIDs, and they're full.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So maybe you want to index those and put the whole thing up in the cloud. You could do that with TrueCheck.
So how many new products did you announce today? Quickly.
Oh, 4 or 5 at least.
For people that want more information about the products that you have, where can it go on the web?
ImagineProducts.com.
It's all one word. The word Imagine, the word Products, and Dan Montgomery is the president of Imagine Products. Imagine Products, Inc.
Yeah, Imagine Products, Inc.
And Dan,
Trademark.
thanks for joining us. I wish you a very successful NAB and appreciate you sharing the time.
Thank you.
Take care. This wraps up the first show of the first day of the 2019 NAB Conference. I want to thank our guests David Colantuoni with Avid, Victoria Nece with Adobe, John Finegold with Signiant, Dan Montgomery with Imagine Products, our senior producer Debbie Price, show producer Paulina Borowski, my name Larry Jordan, and this is the Digital Production Buzz at the 2019 NAB Show.
The Digital Production Buzz at NAB was sponsored by Maxon and by Simply, a global distribution brand.
The Digital Production Buzz at NAB is copyright 2019 by Thalo LLC.